I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have an agenda in front of us, a couple of notes. We have a public hearing at 6:30, so we will recess wherever we're at that point and open a public hearing. Tarek is not here tonight. He had a family emergency. He will be out for, I imagine, a little while. He's talked to me about it. I'm not going to share it, but I'd ask the council, give him a couple of days to deal with what he's got going on before you bother him. My activity reports, I don't have any meetings that we dealt with. It's been a quiet couple of weeks for me. The only thing that I would note is that we are here on a Tuesday instead of our Monday because yesterday was Memorial Day. So I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank all of those who are served, especially those who didn't make it back or were dealing with things on their return. We couldn't be here in this place without your help and your guidance, so thank you to all of those. With that then, I'll turn it over to Paul.
Yeah, the only thing I had was a liquor board and then the joint planning session between the city council and EDAP.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I knew there was something on there. We had our joint meeting where we talked about the library build. Update on that, I did get a call from the sellers of the building. They've put an offer in, they've got a purchase agreement signed, so they're ready to move forward on closing whenever we are. And then I got an email from Deed earlier today that the grants have opened up on the demo grants, so we can start moving on that. Neil.
Friday the 16th, I went out to Bugby's. The school had a scholarship award breakfast, which was very nice. The special council meeting on Monday night, the 19th, I guess it's pretty much common knowledge, we purchased the old Corner Drug Building to be demolished. So these naysayers that say that the council is committed to the downtown, I beg your pardon.
I would say we overpaid for the building a little bit in order to show that commitment.
Yes. So then Tuesday morning, we had a EDAP meeting, and there's items on the agenda tonight for what we discussed. And Tuesday night, we went to the Stearns County League meeting at Cold Spring, and the guy was there from the PCA, talked a lot about water pollution and PFABs and all kinds of interesting stuff. And Wednesday I had the Green Roof Board meeting, and Sally Zumwalt and Ashley King have resigned. They did hire a new administration lady, Jamie Albert, and she's been there a week and seems like she'll be real good. And the biggest thing at the meeting, the Town and Country Days bread fry stand, they're looking for volunteers to run the shifts, and that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Donna.
In comparison, I just attended the meeting on the 19th.
All right.
That's it.
And then department head reports, Dan, and before I get there, because I'll forget about it if I let you go, Dan, did you get notification yet of the annual weed inspector training that everyone loves doing?
Meat inspector training?
Weed inspector.
Weed. No.
Okay. I know historically, I think they've sent it to Ron and Tarek, and then he's forwarded it to me, and then I forward it back to Ron and say, I think that's Bob's duty. Neil's talk about PFAS and brought it to my mind, so I just wanted to ask.
You need to go to a weed inspection class, is that what you're saying?
Somebody from Public Works does every year, yeah.
Okay,
Stearns County will yell at us if we don't send someone.
okay.
And yell is an exaggeration, but they want somebody to go there every year.
Not a problem.
Okay. All right, what do you have for us?
We had a downtown committee meeting this last week. We talked about pushing back the 27 project to 29 and picking up a project in between there with We've had some sewer issues in another section of town that we'd like to talk about addressing first. Chuck and I are gonna meet next week to discuss that further. Had some encouraging things happen in the last couple of days to move us farther along in our snow plowing quest. I had a meeting with AMDI last week with the engineer. It was a good meeting, got to sit down, spend some time with them on the project that's coming up, and learn some more about how their process works and how we can work together. We're working on getting them access so they can build their driveway and start to get in on that property and take care of those things and move forward. Just out at AMP Park, the grass looks good, it's starting to come in real nice. Got the donation plaque finished and the DNR plaque, and that was given to Boss. I didn't go out and look and see if it was hung yet, but I'm assuming it will be if it isn't hung yet, real soon. As far as when AMP Park's gonna open, Chuck can probably give a better update to that. And those are kind of things that are going on in Public Works.
Got a date for us?
No, it's down to a couple final punch list items together, and, you know, really, once the grass is established, it should be far enough along where we should be able to start utilizing it, so.
Perfect.
So it should, hopefully within the next week or so.
Any questions for Dan or Chuck? Okay. I'm not seeing anyone here for the open forum except Paul lurking in the background there, so I guess we'll just move on. Adoption of the consent agenda, the minutes listed on page 1, vouchers on page 2, totaling $209,941.39. I'd entertain a motion to approve unless somebody wants something pulled.
So moved.
Motion by Hersberg, is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Thielen, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right. And then, council per diem, this was brought up at the January meeting as part of the annual review stuff. Kicked it over to policies and procedures. Policies and procedures met, discussed it. There was a lot of discussion about when it was last reviewed and increased, and nobody in the room could remember when it was brought up or reviewed. There was sort of some recommendation that it go up, double or exceed that, but I thought that might have been a little bit excessive, especially as a one-time increase. So the ultimate recommendation was that it go up by 50% to a 75 per half-day and 150 for a full-day meeting. That's the recommendation of the council.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Does this go in effect now or back to the first of the year, or when?
It wasn't discussed, so I think it would be open to whoever makes the motion to make it. It was my understanding that it would be from this point forward, rather than anything retro.
We ready for a motion?
I would entertain a motion.
Okay, motion to approve resolution 2025-14, city council unit per diem and mileage reimbursement effective moving forward.
Motion by Thielen to approve the per diem. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Potter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. Okay, on to the comp plan. Tarek's not here to talk to us. Jen, do you know anything about it?
I can muddle through it a little bit. So it's been some time since we updated the last comprehensive plan. It was dated 2003. That is the plan that we still use. TARC did receive a few quotes a couple years ago. One was from Bolton and Mank in the amount of $60,000. This was brought up from the Budget and Finance Board that it should be put in the 2026 budget. But maybe going out for bids, but maybe not the bids is the right word, but maybe RFPs, to see who could provide that service to us and for what amount. So I think maybe he's looking for some guidance there, what type of bids or quotes or RFPs we're looking for. what type of avenue you want to take. And then I guess maybe to even proceed to put it in the budget, because Belinda is working on the budget as we speak.
RFP is what?
Request for proposals.
That's what I thought, okay.
So it's very similar to what we did to hire our city attorney.
What does the comp plan do for us?
It gives a broad picture of what the council or the community sees the plan for the city, like where it's going to grow. It includes like where our annexation properties are. It gives an overall plan or development layout. And you might recognize that in most of our zoning resolutions or zoning finding and facts for conditional uses, rezones, it'll say, and according to the comp plan, it complies with the comp plan. It reflects what the comp plan says. So you'll see that verbiage in a lot of the zoning documents.
Is there a lot of change since '03?
Well, the biggest thing is going to be the bypass. So the bypass is not noted in our current comp plan at all. So some of our mapping is going to change. Some of our zones are going to change. You know, there's some of the developments that are not in it, our plats. You know, ever since 2003, any of the new plats are not in our development, in our comp plan. So there's going to be some significant changes, some not so much, but there's always like community involvement as to like census things. Maybe Chuck can expand a little bit more on it. You know, I don't use it every day, but when we do something significant, we usually refer back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a guide for the community as you further develop. I did have a short discussion on Friday with Targ about this, and I told him my thoughts on it. You know, we could refine the scope. I mean, I think when we shot out the number a few years ago, it was sort of just a budgetary. I think there's ways, depending on scope and ultimate goal, to definitely save some money. So I said we'd meet with them sometime, and we can certainly update our budget for them. I mean, at least at this point. So.
Yeah. My thought is that we should start planning our budget with 60, or with inflation, maybe we budget on the high side at 75. And then in the meantime, we go out for proposals. But at least that way our budget's working with a number that we know we can always drop down before the end of the year. We just can't raise. It makes sense to me that prelim budget numbers come in high and that we put it in there. And meanwhile, we go out for RFPs so that we can explore things like Chuck talked about.
And that'll hit all the budgeted funds, not just the general fund.
Right.
And I know that there's area cities that just had a comp plan done, so we can reach out to them to see who they did their comp plan with, and solicit maybe some of those vendors.
Yeah.
Jennifer,
Yeah.
could any of this come out of the EDAP funding or not?
It would be budgeted out of all the budgeted funds, so it would hit general, water, sewer, EDAP, probably liquor some.
All?
Because I mean,
I'd have to find out in hands with someone.
we're just doing a housing study, which we need for developers, and if there isn't a kickback, I'm not sure that it's a, you know, we wait a year or two, it might make sense too, I don't know. I think our budget's gonna be plenty high next year, but
It's been 22 years since there's been a study done. And the town has changed since then. If we can go every 22 years redoing the comp plan, I think we're doing pretty good.
I know, but you can't raise the budget a couple $100,000 just because we want.
No, I
And
think,
it's,
yeah, I agree with you entirely. I know there are cities that do it every 10 years, just on a schedule, and they budget that 10% cost into their annual budget. So I think really what we have to do is probably bite the bullet and get it done. And then, you know, like our capital improvement plan, we put money away for a comp plan every budget cycle, and it just goes in there as a necessary expense that we're going to have to do every 10 or 15 years. But I agree with you. We should look for other ways of funding it rather than just having to assess it to the tax base. I don't know know that you need a motion from us to start the RFP process, so.
Not necessarily, I'll just put that we're gonna budget 75,000 and we'll go out for RFPs.
Okay, then we'll move on to the F-250, the correction. All right.
So can we back up, could you just summarize what just happened with the comp plan?
Yeah, so as I understand it, staff are going to put together a request for proposal that the council will then have to approve before it gets published. And in the meantime, as Belinda's prepping the budget, she's gonna prep for, what did we say, Belinda, 60 or 75?
60 to 75,000.
Yeah.
I'll see what Tarek thinks.
Yeah, so we'll plan a preliminary budget around there, knowing that we want it to come in lower, but this way we're aiming high.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, trying to do the under promise, over deliver thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we need a correction on the surplus truck. It's a 2015, not a 2011, eh, Dan?
It's over there.
Okay. So I'd entertain a motion to declare the 2015 truck surplus. Neil?
I just have a comment. I think maybe we should raise that 16 because I went on Kelly this afternoon and played a little bit. And it looks to me like that 16 is probably what an 11 was worth. I come up with 19,237 for in good condition. And I'm not sure, I figured 45,000 miles. And Dan said it probably could be less than that. So it's a valuable truck. I know if Yarmouth had it, you wouldn't buy it for that.
Yeah, we can definitely raise our hold on the truck.
I'd be comfortable at 18, I guess, if, I'll make that a motion if I can get a second.
It's a motion by Hersberg to declare the truck surplus and authorize advertisement for bids with a minimum bid of 18,000. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Potter. So again, the motion is as stated on the action sheet with the increase of a minimum bid from 16 to 18,000. Motion by Hersberg, seconded by Potter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carries. All right.
This is kind of referring, did we ever sell the 03?
We did?
Yes.
Because normally doesn't that come through console or what the bid was or in the same way
Put it on
with?
mid-bid for, the council elected to put it on the mid-bid for the sale, so we sold it.
Yeah. I think at the last time we said it's been sold, so we didn't need to approve the sale because we'd already did that. I think this was our
Usually the
first.
figures came through though, how much we got or?
Jen, I'm remembering that we changed something with that.
Typically, we bring it through just as an informational item or consent item that we got this much money and it was sold, through
'Cause of-
bid. So it should come back. You are right, Neil.
And also wasn't there a police impound?
That was a forfeiture and that I don't believe has been sold yet.
Okay. Paul's shaking his head no. So that's still pending. Okay. Do we, what did we get for that truck? Do you know off the top of your head?
Anybody help me down there?
I thought it was over 4.
Well, we can just put it on.
We'll bring it on the next
Yeah,
council agenda.
that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just info that I thought we should have.
Moving on then, Dan or Chuck on the FBO building.
Yeah, we opened bids on May 7th for the FBO building. We got 2 bids, ranging from a low of $793,034 to a high of $857,800. Actually, both numbers were below the estimate, so that was good. Basically, the process moving forward, if the council wants to continue, is we would submit a grant request to the FAA and wait for the grant agreement, which we probably won't receive until the August, September timeframe. And at that point, we would actually award the contract. So it's a contingent award until we have the grant agreement in place. And as you may recall, this is 95% federal money, 2.5% state, and 2.5% local.
And
So this would probably be a spring build?
Generally, they would want to try to get going this fall and get
Okay.
enough in the ground so that they could work over the winter.
And that 2.5% is about 20,000, which is pretty reasonable on an $800,000 building. With that, I'll make the motion. Award the FBO hangar project to Everstrong Construction Incorporated in the amount of $793,034, contingent on the city receiving federal funding.
This motion by Hersberg is stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Thielen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right. Next on your agenda is the MIF and JCF for Lewis Industries. We will come back to that after our public hearing at 6:30. We'll skip ahead to new business B, the part-time seasonal admin assistant. I guess Jen and Belinda, I might turn down to you two to bring us up to speed and as best we can, maybe.
Sure, absolutely. So we went live with Laserfish the end of March, and I'm not going to mix any words. The first couple weeks were pretty bumpy. It wasn't so much the platform, it wasn't so much us, it's just learning it. Since then, it has been a slower input process than what we had expected. I had went to the MCFOA conference and attended a data retention Laserfish conference training on it, and one of their suggestions, instead of trying to tackle this, is just to bring in like a summer intern. 3 months, 67 days, somebody that wants to get maybe some government experience. And so we brought it up to Tarek, and he said, put it on policies and procedures. So we went to policies and procedures, and they discussed it. We know it's not in the budget. We know that the council is watching on how fast the boxes are disappearing. And sad to say, they're not disappearing as fast as we would like. So we brought this up. They recommended to bring it to council. And I know Tarek was going to research with some colleges and high schools on if any of them paid internships or on-the-job training. I did look into Resource Training and Solutions to see if they did any cost share. They do not. Sourcewell does, but we do not live in their regional area to support it. So right now, it would be fully funded by the city. And we get that if this is not something you want to proceed, we get that. We just wanted to bring it up, see if it's an option. If it is, great. If it's not, we'll just go on and continue as we are.
I would say policies recommended it. Tarek was going to call around. The hope was to see if there's a work-study program or something where the city could get by for half rate, something like that. Unfortunately, Tarek's not here to give us an update on that, so maybe this is something we want to table, give him some more time to review. Another thought I just had is this something that maybe the SAIL program could help us out with as part of their job training and things like that? I don't know, but it's a local resource that we might want to look into.
I don't know what that is.
It's students, somebody help me with the acronym. Student Assisted Independent Learning, something like that.
It's learning life skills, cooking, cleaning.
But they also do a lot of job training. Here, this is just from the West Central Education District. I had it pulled up, now my phone's blinking out.
So is it basically just scanning old paperwork?
Well, it is, but the platform you're scanning in on just isn't scanning in documents. There's some input that has to be done to it. It's just not scanning a piece of paper into a machine.
Yeah. So it's Skills for Adulthood and Independent Living. It's described as a transition program designed for students aged 18 to 22 with disabilities. It provides these students with additional time after their graduating year to focus on independent living skills, recreation, leisure activities, and job training. So, I don't know.
Sounds very similar to what my son went through, the Focus House in Wilmer.
Could have been, yeah. So I know,
It kind of depends on how tough a task this is.
Yeah, that,
I even have concerns about bringing in a high school girl that hasn't had office experience, and by the time you train her, how many of the 67 days are gone? And I guess my own feeling is, let's stay with the lady we have, she's doing a good job. If it takes 2 years, it takes 2 years.
and that's totally fine with us.
It's gonna cost
We're-
us the same in the end anyhow. I mean,
Yep.
we sat on it 4 years sitting on a desk.
Well, and we've been talking about Laserfish for even more than that. So we are super good with, if this is not
Yep.
something that you.
That's
want to
my
see.
feeling.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Leave well enough alone.
I guess I would like us to reach out to the SAIL program and see, because if they're capable, if they have students who are able and willing to do it, that might be a free service. And then it could help the city and those individuals as well as part of that program. If we can do it for nothing and it's good, then I think it's worth exploring. But otherwise, I'm sort of with Neil on this, that we have somebody we hired for it and we should go forward based on that.
Okay, thank you.
Unless I hear a motion to approve this, I'm going to move on and let staff bring it back if circumstances change.
Yeah, if not, it'll just die as is.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next is the tax abatement for the Northland Services Agreement. Again, that's something that we'll take up at the public hearing in all of 4 minutes.
Actually, this is separate than what's on the public hearing.
I think I'd rather just take it all up together though, if that's okay.
Okay,
That way, everything Lewis is just
okay,
dealt with as one.
okay.
So then we have some informational, we have our meeting schedules, month-end reports are all available. Don't forget to RSVP to Jen for the all boards meeting.
So I sent out 70 invitations and I have 12 people that are coming.
What date is it?
June. It is June 4th?
Okay. I should be there.
Is that your RSVP?
Yes.
I'll be there too.
Donna's RSVPing as well.
I forgot if I,
'cause it's
anyhow,
We've
I'll-
already done it.
it's a Wednesday night.
So yeah, so I haven't, I mean, we have very, very, very few department heads or committee members, so.
kind of what it's been.
Yeah. With that, I don't really have anything else on the agenda for the next 3 minutes. The brewery's having a soft open tomorrow night, so if any of you got the invitation to that, I will probably see you there. I have to wait until 6:30, Lance, sorry.
Big crowd at the Supple, I know.
I know.
Do I need to go to the podium? All right.
Otherwise, we can't hear you, and
I figured as much.
I will say, we've got Sam on the meeting. He's been creeping over our shoulders here on the TV. He's got another thing he needs to run to at about 6:40, 6:45, so what I might do, Sam, is probably just get a quick overview of the project on the record, and then ask if the council has any questions of you before we move on to the rest, so that way, if you need to get out, you can.
Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate that. So, and just to be clear, are you gonna, would you like me to do that before we open up the public hearing or after? I'll leave it up to you.
No, I'm just waiting for my clock to say 6:30, then I'll open the public hearing, and then I guess I'd ask for a quick overview of what we're all asking for here, and then I'll just, if that could be like 1 or 2 minutes, then I'll turn it to see if anyone has questions for Sam.
Is that Sam first?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just let me know when, Mayor.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I don't know if we have the same clocks.
I've got 6:29, so, okay. The clock on the wall now says 6:30, so we'll open our public hearing on the Minnesota Investment Fund and Job Creation Fund for Lewis Industries. We have some documents in our packet that we'll get to once we finish our public hearing. But I guess I'd turn it over to staff, Sam, Lewis Industries, whoever wants to talk to us. Give us a brief rundown of what's going on, what we're asking for here.
I'll let you go first, Sam.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the council, so in your packet tonight, you have two resolutions. One is for the Minnesota Investment Fund, or MIF, program. The second is for a Job Creation Fund program, or JCF. These two programs are Minnesota Department of Economic Development Programs, or DEED, and the two resolutions are essentially just to support Lewis Industries applications that they've been working on with city staff. It's my understanding that the developer, Lewis Industries, is applying for not just these two programs, but also an EDAP loan, as well as a tax abatement. And so you have, and I might be missing one other application. I'll let the developer jump in if I'm missing something, but they are proposing an expansion project and have submitted these two applications to the city, and I think there's been some back and forth between Tarek and Lewis Industries about those applications. The council is required to hold a public hearing on the MIF application. And in addition to those two resolutions, there's also an agreement in your packet for Northland Securities. That would basically be the city hiring Northland to help with the financial planning aspects of the project. And it's my understanding that the developer has already submitted an escrow account to basically pay for both financial planning and legal services related to the project. And so just to summarize, three different items in your packet tonight: MIF resolution, JCF resolution, and then the approval of the Northland Securities Agreement. And with that, I will leave it to the developer if they have any comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions too.
Anybody have any questions for Sam, just to make sure we get them answered before he has to run? Thank you. Turn it over to you.
This is where Tariq was gonna start, and then I guess really, at the end of the day, what we're doing is we've been going through a process for about 9 months, and now it's to the point where we're getting close to the design build portion. We've landed some pretty significant new business. Some of them are international customers. You guys all are familiar with Nikon, the cameras. Nikon has actually formed a partnership with the University of Minnesota for some high-end imaging. We're going to be building the sarcophagus of the imaging machines at our factory. We're actually starting the process today. It's probably going to be a top 3 to 5 customer for us in the next 2 to 3 years, adding some significant new challenges. So with that, we're looking at adding some square footage. Currently today, our factory sits on, or our factory is about 135,000 square feet. We're looking at doing 3 things. One, we own the old Painesville Engine Clinic building. We're using that as a warehouse. We're looking at activating that into some production. Second, we're looking at adding 37,000 square feet of manufacturing space. If you're familiar with our current building, it's kind of shaped like a horseshoe, actually filling in the gap in the horseshoe. And then the third thing is our current office was built in 1999 and is vastly underprepared for the digital world. So doing an office addition and an office modernization at the same time. So, the scope of our project, do you guys have all the MIF and JCF applications or just the summary?
All we have are the resolutions that are in the
Okay,
packet, so.
so I don't know if Tariq was gonna get into the meat of this. Do you want me to get into the meat of it, or how deep do you want me to go, I guess?
Can you give us like a surface overview maybe, and we can ask some questions?
So, surface overview, my computer wants to wake up right now. But basically, the JCF and the MIF applications are very, very similar. So if I focus on the JCF one, because it's a little more comprehensive in the information they ask for, I'm just gonna talk about that and just accept the fact that the MIF is like 98% the same thing. Hold on. Just the high-level summary, as soon as it wants to.
Sam, while we pull that up, we don't have data privacy concerns about information on those applications, do we?
There we go. No, I got it here. So,
No, I'm not aware of any, Mayor.
I wanted to make sure we weren't forcing you to just.
Public document as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
we've done the JCF 3 times in the history of Lewis Industries. The last time we did it was at our 2001 expansion. The JCF was 100% taken care of by the state now, signed off. We were all in good standing. We did not do the Minnesota Investment Fund on our 2021 expansion, but we have used JCF in our 1999, our 2008, and our 2012 as well. So we've got a history of using some of this assistance. The total scope of our project between building addition, new equipment, et cetera, is about $9.3 million. It's probably gonna be the largest industrial expansion Painesville's ever seen. A lot of this is basically keeping us on the modern cutting edge. I would tell you guys today, we have 6 robots. We get done, we're gonna have somewhere between 10 and 12 robots. We have plenty of automation. We have some of the most high-tech lasers in the world sitting here in Painesville, Minnesota. We've got 3D scanners. Any of you are welcome to come tour our factory whenever you want to take a look at some of the really neat things we're doing. Part of it is we're looking at adding 15 jobs. The average wage is not summarized on the JCF. The average wage is over $20 an hour plus $7 an hour benefits. We're getting close to $30 an hour, which is well above minimum wage standards, well above living wage standards. These jobs will be created over 2 years. Typically, our expansions have been build the building, add equipment, hire people. This is gonna be a little bit different because we're getting into some markets that we're not traditionally in. So we actually have to hire some staff before we commit to the equipment to start training people and then buy the equipment. Some of the equipment is probably an 18-month lead time. So we are gonna use the full 2-year scope of the project versus a shorter time frame. We're looking at moving forward, breaking ground sometime August, September, occupying the building Q2 next year, which would be roughly this time frame of next year. What else do you want to know? That's kind of the high level. I can get into some of the demographic questions if you like, but
I think I have the answers to the questions that I had. Anybody else have anything? Thank you for being flexible. Tarek had a family emergency, so he couldn't be here.
yep, not a problem at all.
So,
If I could add one thing, I'd like to, if at some time in the near future, tour your area plant so I get a better visual of what we're looking at. So, I mean, I'm all for the project, I just want to understand a little deeper.
Absolutely. I actually leave Friday to go to Europe to look at some of the equipment we're potentially buying, so we have to do it in like July.
That'd
Just
be
reach
fine.
out and we'll set something up. It's not a problem.
That'll be fine.
Not a problem at all.
Okay, great.
I could accompany you on that trip. No, I won't. There's all sorts of prohibitions on that. I jest.
Yeah, no,
I see Sam getting jumpy.
this,
Comment, Mayor, if
Yeah.
I may. So I'm just doing my best Tarek impression tonight. He knows a lot about this project, and so I would just encourage the council, if they have questions about the specific project, to just talk to Tarek about them. He's worked a lot with our office already, but he's really worked, I think, a lot with the developer to kind of understand what they're applying for, and just to like kind of give you a sense of where we're at. This is just the very start of two of the types of financial assistance that the developer is applying for. So MIF, JCF, this is just supporting their app. The two resolutions are just basically lending the council support to their applications, but it's really the start of the process, and you're likely to also see applications for tax abatement and EDAP loans as well. So you're going to learn more about the project, and again, I would just encourage you to reach out to Tarek if you have questions about the specifics too.
Yeah, so if I could add, the 9.3 million, when we look at bank covenants, bank financing, we're gonna stretch ourselves right to the limit of what we're comfortable with. BMO Harris Bank is our lender, right to the limit they're comfortable with before starting to look at turning ratios from positive to negative. It's a good project for us, really excited about it. So JCF, MIF, very similar. I kind of just summarized that. I'm going to pivot. We're also looking at some HRA funding with the county. We've already had discussion with the county on the tax abatement. They've got some HRA funds. It fits with what we're looking at. They want to get more involved in rural Stearns County, so it fits well besides just having everything funded in St. Cloud. The other request coming from the city of Painesville's tax abatement, and I think the big thing here is the difference between TIF and tax abatement is in our 2021 expansion, we had an issue with that old railroad that we had to abate in the industrial park. And building over the railroad parcels, the way state law, county law is written, we didn't qualify for TIF because we were already in a TIF district. So the county decided tax abatement was what would make sense. What we did is we did a 9-year tax abatement district and virtually just mirrored TIF. So because we're in a current tax abatement district, we cannot ask for TIF, but we can abate an abatement, if that makes any sense. It's basically state and county laws getting jumbled together. In talking with Mike Williams at the county, he wants the city of Painesville to take the abatement lead, work with you guys. We've had our initial hearing with them. I believe we've got everything together on that. The nice part about doing the abatement this time is we have 7 plots of land. And everyone is requesting we merge those plots into one. And we are 100% in agreement to make it easy on everybody to just have 1 plot instead of 7. Some of those are little slivers from the old railroad abatement, and it's $75 a year in tax, and it's a lot of fun. So those would summarize kind of all the requests. I don't want to speak for Tariq or Tarek where we're at with all of them, but I believe he has all the applications. I don't think he needs anything else. The state has already come in and done their financial analysis. Again, Tariq was there. I've been meeting with Chris Stanley and Bruce Stang with EDAP. That's the high-level summary of the ask, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that gives me the information that I was looking for. Do know Tarek has the applications. He's working on the tax abatement piece. He shared a little bit with me, including taking the lead on it. We've got some stuff on our agenda later regarding approving that process to get the ball rolling, not approving the abatement, but just starting that thing. And I think we'll have to have another public hearing on the abatement once that's ready, but that will come down the road here, so.
Yeah, and all of you are welcome at this process. If you want to come in, talk more, have questions, we don't have anything to hide. We'd love to take you on a tour, show you what we're doing, show you why we think this is a great deal, so.
Great. Anything else on the public hearing?
Well explained.
Sam, I won't be offended if you have to take off and run out your office now. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sam.
All right, then with that, I will close the public hearing. We'll go back into our business meeting. We have two proposed resolutions before us, 2025-15 and 16. 15 approving the investment fund application for the project, and then the 2025-16, the job creation fund. I'd entertain a motion on one or both.
So moved on both.
Motion by Thielen as stated on the action sheet regarding approval of both resolutions. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hersberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, then going on to the tax abatement, we have the Northland Securities Professional Services Agreement. I would note, one of the things that stuck out to me is there's gonna be a cost to this of $9,000. I did check with staff and with Sam beforehand, and just so the council knows, that cost is one that would get passed or billed back to the developer at the end of the project, or through the scope of it. I'm not sure how timing works, but it gets billed back, so the city will front the cost, there's some money in escrow, and anything else would get billed back, so. Right now, we're just looking to retain Northland so that we can start the work on the abatement project. This is not approving the actual abatement, this is starting the paperwork for it.
I'll make the motion to approve the professional service agreement between the City of Painesville and Northland Securities Incorporated for Lewis Industries tax abatement.
Motion by Hersberg, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Potter, any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion carries. Thanks, everyone. And with